You picked it up 30 seconds ago. You already know that. Nothing new is there. You put it down. 20 seconds pass. You pick it up again. You are not weak. You are not addicted. You are doing exactly what your ancestors' brains were built to do. And the phone knows it. The real answer to why you cannot stop checking your phone has nothing to do with technology. It goes back hundreds of thousands of years to a time when your brain learned one of the most powerful lessons it has ever been taught. And once you understand what that lesson was, you will never look at a notification the same way again. Your brain is not a modern machine. It is an ancient survival tool that happened to get stuck inside a modern world. Every craving, every reflex, every anxious glance at a glowing screen, all of it was shaped by an environment that no longer exists. Evolutionary psychologist David Geary has spent decades studying the mismatch between the brain your ancestors built and the world you actually live in. He calls it evolutionary mismatch. The brain optimized for one world is now running in a completely different one, and no feature of that mismatch is more visible than what happens between you and your phone. Start with the most basic drive your brain has: information seeking. Not entertainment, not connection, pure, raw information seeking. For the vast majority of human history, new information was not trivial. It was survival. A rustle in the tall grass, is that the wind or something with teeth? A stranger approaching camp, friend or threat? A change in the clouds, should you move now or wait? Your ancestors who paid closest attention to new signals in their environment lived longer, found more food, avoided more predators, and passed their genes forward. The ones who tuned it out did not. What this created over hundreds of thousands of brutal selection pressure is a brain that is biologically rewarded for noticing novelty. New things trigger a neurological response, and that response, as neuroscientist Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan discovered, is driven not by pleasure itself, but by the anticipation of reward. This is the part most people get wrong. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. Dopamine is the wanting chemical. It fires before you get the reward. It fires at the possibility of a reward. And critically, it fires hardest when the reward is uncertain. Let that land. Your brain's reward system does not light up most for guaranteed outcomes. It lights up most for outcomes it cannot predict. In 2018, researchers at Harvard published findings on what they called variable reward schedules, a concept first identified by behaviorist B.F. Skinner in the mid-20th century. Skinner discovered that if you give an animal a reward every single time it presses a lever, it presses steadily. If you never give a reward, it stops. But if you give a reward sometimes, randomly, unpredictably, the animal presses the lever compulsively. It cannot stop. The uncertainty itself becomes the engine. Your phone is a lever. Every time you pick it up, there is a chance something new is there. A message, a like, a piece of news, a notification that surprises you. And there is a chance nothing is there. That unpredictability, that maybe, is the most powerful neurological hook ever designed. Not by accident. The architects of every major social platform have studied Skinner. They built the variable reward into the product on purpose. But here's where it gets stranger, because the pull you feel is not just about dopamine, it goes deeper. Your ancestors did not live alone. No human did. For nearly all of human prehistory, you lived in small groups of 20 to 150 people.
Your survival depended on knowing exactly what was happening within that group at all times. Who was aligned with whom? Who was angry at whom? What the group was planning to do next. Social information was not gossip, it was intelligence. And the brain that tracked it best, that monitored shifts in alliances, that noticed when someone's expression changed, that stayed tuned in to the social environment, was the brain most likely to survive and reproduce. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar, whose work on primate social groups fundamentally changed how scientists understand human connection, found that up to 65% of human conversation across cultures is devoted to social information. Not logistics, not planning, social information. What is happening with the people around you? What people think of each other? What has changed? Your phone is a social monitoring device. Every time you check it, your brain is doing what it was built to do, scanning the social environment for changes, a new comment, a reaction to something you said, evidence of what the group thinks, evidence of where you stand. The fact that your group now contains thousands of strangers on the internet is irrelevant to your ancient brain. It cannot tell the difference between your tribal band of 80 and your Instagram following of 800. Both trigger the same monitoring impulse. Both demand the same vigilance. And then there's the threat detection layer. Your brain runs a background process constantly that scientists call the default mode network. Even when you are doing nothing, this network is active. It's scanning, running through scenarios, imagining social outcomes, potential threats, possible futures. Neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman at UCLA, who wrote extensively on social pain and the brain, has described the default mode network as essentially a social simulator, a system that evolved to keep you running hypothetical social scenarios so that you were never caught off guard. When your phone is face down across the room and you feel a faint pull toward it, a mild unease, a low hum of something might be happening, that's your default mode network doing its job. It's telling you that the social environment is unmonitored, that you might be missing something, that the group has had 20 minutes to shift without your awareness. For your great-great-great ancestors, 20 minutes of social unawareness could mean missing a shift in power that got you excluded from the group. Exclusion from the group meant death. Your brain doesn't know that the stakes have changed. It still treats social rejection like a physical threat. Research by Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA showed that social rejection and physical pain activate overlapping regions in the brain. Being left out, literally, hurts, and your phone promises to prevent that. So, every time you reach for it, you are not weak-willed. You are running 4 simultaneous ancient programs. You are seeking novel information because novelty meant survival. You are chasing an uncertain reward because uncertainty fires your dopamine system hardest. You are monitoring your social group because social awareness kept you alive. And you are soothing a threat detection system that reads silence as danger. The phone did not create these drives. It just found them, mapped them perfectly, and put them on a glowing rectangle you carry in your pocket. Understanding this doesn't make the pull go away, but it changes what the pull means. When you reach for it without knowing why, you are not failing at discipline. You are succeeding at being human. Your brain is working exactly as designed. The problem is that the design is ancient and the environment is not. The researchers who study behavioral design, people like Nir Eyal, who spent years inside Silicon Valley studying how habit-forming technology works, describe the hook cycle in 4 stages: trigger, action, variable reward, and investment. What he eventually concluded, and what he wrote about in his follow-up work, is that the same neurological machinery that can trap you can also be redirected. The drive for novelty can be pointed at a book,
The social monitoring instinct can be channeled into real conversation. The variable reward response can be retrained towards uncertainty that serves you, a new skill, a new idea, a new challenge. Because here's the thing your ancestors understood without ever naming it. The drive was never about the lever. The drive was about staying alive, staying connected, staying sharp. The phone borrowed those drives, but the drives belong to you. The next time you reach for it and stop yourself, or don't stop yourself, remember that you are not fighting technology. You are navigating a brain that spent hundreds of thousands of years learning to pay attention. That brain kept your ancestors alive through ice ages, migrations, predators, and plagues. It brought you here. It's still doing its job. It just hasn't gotten the update yet. 30